This is Foolery by Curtis Parkinson. Foolery lived on a boat. It had sails for the wind to fill, an anchor to keep it still, and netting all around to keep Tom from falling off. But Tom liked to chew things, and one day he chewed a hole right through the netting. When Captain Andy saw the hole, he exclaimed, "Foolery, now don't you go near that until it's mended." But late that night, Tom heard a fish splash, and he leaned out just a little to have a look. Another fish splashed. He leaned a little farther and a little farther. Suddenly a wave rocked the boat. Tom lost his balance and fell into the water. Ker-splash. Captain Andy and his daughter Megan were sound asleep in the cabin below. They didn't hear the splash. When Tom fell in, he meowed and meowed, but his calls were lost in the wind. When no one came to rescue him, Tom swam as hard as he could toward the shore. He swam, and at last his feet touched the bottom. Tom staggered onto the beach and lay down on the warm sand to rest and to lick himself dry. After a while, it started to rain, so he looked for a tree to shelter under. He didn't know that the pelicans roosted in that tree, and they didn't want to share it with anyone. Tom got such a fright that he ran into the woods, up a big hill, and down the other side. He didn't stop until he was a long way from the pelicans, away on the other side of the island. Then he hid under a bush and stayed there for the rest of the night. Megan always got up early in the morning to give Foolery his breakfast, but this morning he didn't come when she called. She and Captain Andy looked in every hiding place on the boat. Then they rowed their little dinghy to the beach to search the shore. They called, Foolery, Foolery," again and again, but there was no answer, so they decided to sail around the other side of the island to look for him there. Meanwhile, Foolery had fallen asleep under the bush where he had been hiding. When he woke up, he was very hungry. He set off back up the big hill to find the boat and his breakfast. So when Megan and Captain Andy arrived at the bush, Tom wasn't there. And when Tom arrived back at the beach, the boat wasn't there, only some laughing gulls crying, "Ha ha 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 ha." Tom wandered about the island looking for Megan and Captain Andy. As he wandered, he began to smell something delicious. He followed the delicious smell until he came to a cottage. Something very good was cooking in the kitchen. Tom badly wanted to get into that kitchen, but a dog lived there. He had to wait for just the right moment to scoot in the door. There was a lot to see and do. The lady with the apron gave Tom a big helping of stew from the pot on the stove. Afterward, he curled up for a nap, purring contentedly, and thought, "This is such a nice place. Maybe I could stay here." But then he dreamt about Megan and Captain Andy and his home, and he knew he had to find them again. So Tom scratched at the door until the lady with the apron let him out, but he had forgotten about the dog, who wanted to play a game of chase. Tom raced to a tree and climbed to a high branch while the dog barked and barked below. The barking of the dog echoed across the island. When Megan and Captain Andy heard it, they hurried to see if Tom was there. They arrived just as the lady with the apron was rescuing him from the tree. Megan hugged him and hugged him. Then they all had tea and cake in the cottage, except for the dog, who had biscuits, and Tom, who had some more stew. Foolery. The end.